Hello and welcome to episode 99 of the Perth to Paisley podcast, a podcast dedicated to Heart of Midlothian Football Club, who will be playing in the UEFA Europa Conference League as opposed to the Europa League. Joining me, Adam Kennedy, to chat all about the men in maroon. 3 fixtures, in fact, is Mr. Daniel McIver. As always, how are we, McIver?
I'm doing well. If people are watching on YouTube, they'll notice me throughout this episode and at the start here, just looking down, and it's because I'm constantly refreshing my phone as we are doing this at 4:30 on deadline day, and we've signed nobody yet. So I'm just constantly refreshing to see if we do. How are you?
Nice. I'm good, Chief. Yeah, maybe didn't think this through in terms of the pod and recording this week, but there's stuff went on behind the scenes, okay?
Yeah, there's justifiable reasons.
We've got a busy episode today. We've got 3 games to discuss since we've last had an episode. A new signing to chat about who we've still not seen. A game to preview, potentially a couple of games to preview. And then the quiz at the end in our last double-digit episode. This is madness. I actually cannot believe that we're here. I can't believe that when we started out, we'd ever reach 99 bloody episodes. Remarkably, there's folk that listen to this shite.
Oh, it's incredible. We'll get into it a lot next week, I imagine. But yeah, very much the sentiments are shared.
Honestly, it is a miracle. But your support is appreciated nonetheless.
Definitely.
First up, the first of 3 games. The Jambos took on FC Zurich in their second leg of the Europa League playoff tie. This now feels like a lifetime ago.
I can barely remember it.
We really have, I really have messed up here. But Robbie Nielsen made 7 changes from the team that lost 2-0 at Parkhead. Hearts lined up as follows, actually. The team that we both wanted, Craig Gordon in goal, back 4 of Michael Smith, Stephen Kingsley on the right-hand side of the central 2, Kai Rolls and Alex Cochrane, with George Grant and Cammy Devlin in midfield, Alan Forrest one side, Barry Mackay the other, and Liam Boyce supporting Lawrence Shankland up front. Like I say, it was the starting 11 that we both were after, so presumably you were pretty happy when you saw that, McIver.
Very much so. I think the way my dad surmised it was the only real debatable position was in the middle of the park, whether which 2 of Devlin, Haring and Grant played. I think everybody else kind of picks their own positions. I said last show that I had no qualms about a back 4 with Kingsley at right centre half, and I think he proved why. Like that guy can just, we could play him in goals and he'd probably do a job. Like he's so comfortable with both feet that it allowed Rolls to be in his natural position, it allowed Cochrane to be in his natural position, and he just walked it. So I was very, very happy with the starting lineup, and was eventually very happy with the first half in general.
Yes, because we actually started very well. And like you say, it was one of those players that was playing in his natural position that I was particularly impressed with on the night. Alex Cochrane was zinging balls about like he was Steven Gerrard. And there's one where he just zings over to Alan Forrest, despite slipping. He maintains control, cuts in, smashes one, but it's a decent enough stop from the goalkeeper. And to be honest, that took us 13 minutes to spring into life. But from there on in, I cannot remember a Hearts performance, particularly in the first half, where we were so on top of our opponents. But like the annoyance is, the key annoyance is that we somehow did not break the deadlock all night.
Listen, I was one of the biggest fans of Alex Cochrane last season. I was one of the biggest fans of him coming back to the club. I think
everybody's fan club.
Yes, exactly. Founder of the fan club. Even I didn't expect him to start the season this well. He's arguably been our best player. It's between him and Shankland, probably. I just think, like, one of the big worries about losing Suter was that we'd lose that cross-field pass from defence that was so useful last season. It's obviously coming from a different direction, and people can make the argument it depends how effective it is considering who...
And a different recipient.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I mean. So, like, oh, well, is it as good to have it going to the right winger rather than the left winger? But Alex Cochrane's just perfectly replaced that. Like, he's just... I think a lot of people need to remember last season was his first full season in senior football, which is really scary considering how good I personally felt he was. And now he seems to have just went up a level. I don't know if it's because he's now here permanently, he's settled, he knows he doesn't need to, I need to be playing really, really well to try and play for a place and potentially make a few mistakes. He's calm, he's confident, he's happy playing where he is. And yeah, for me, so far, he's been our player of the year.
I can't disagree. And you know, he and numerous others were at the heart of creating chances. I feel as though we're just going to have to go through the chances because genuinely, it was an absolute peppering. George Grant sent a decent delivery into the box for possibly the first time ever in a maroon shirt, but Kai Rolls can't connect and the keeper gathers. There's one where Alan Forrest centres for Liam Boyce and it breaks for Grant again before it's blocked. But the chance of the half for me, Barry Mackay finds Liam Boyce. He and Lawrence Shankland exchange a 1-2 before he slips in Forrest. Alan Forrest takes a touch and looks to slam home before a sensational block. But my question to you, Daniel, is I think I know the answer. Can he hit it first time? And if he does he score? Because to me, the answer is yes and yes.
He has to hit that first time. I'm really glad you said this was the chance of the half because I agree. We're going to get into another chance later that I've seen that people put more emphasis on, but I think this is the clearer cut chance.
Yeah, so do I.
Just hit it. We'd get to a point, it's not really a talking point, but right at the very end of the game, Smith hit a shot well over the bar when he had time to take a touch and steady himself. So I don't know if he's maybe thought Forrest should have hit that one earlier in the first half, so I'm just going to hit it. But listen, we've both been big fans of Alan Forrest this season. I think he's had a tough week or so of games. I don't think he's been quite at his best in the last few games. Still think there's been flashes of goodness about him, but this was the big one. It's like, Alan, just hit it because he's coming across it. He can hit it across the keeper into the bottom left. And for me, that was the chance. When he didn't hit it, and that centre half was probably man of the match in terms of the game as a whole. He was fantastic. I started to worry, being a bit like, okay, these are some pretty big chances. We really need to start taking at least one of them.
Yeah. And it just, it was relentless, was my thing. I say it all the time about Hearts getting off to a fast start. More in hope than expectation. But here it was actually fantastic to see it come to fruition. It was the type of intensity and pressure that I crave. And Cammy Devlin as well, who I thought was exceptional all night.
Yep.
Possibly his best performance for Hearts ever.
I think so.
Slid in the middle of the park to cut out a loose, long ball. He then sends it out rather for Alan Forrest on the right-hand side, and he crosses for Liam Boyce. This is the chance that you meant, who heads into the ground, and it bounces up and over the crossbar, still somehow 0-0. And the thing for me is, if he's going to head her back across the keeper, should he opt to try and loop it over the goalkeeper rather than head into the ground? I think Liam Boyce needs instinctive chances. I think when he has too much time to think about stuff, he probably fluffs his lines. That might be harsh, but that's the general impression that I get from watching him.
I personally think he does the right thing. I think heading it into the ground is the right idea, but I think he gets over the ball. He jumps a second too early, so he's coming down onto it, which means that the ball's going to go at a harsher angle. Instead of going down, but at towards the goal, it almost just goes directly down. And that means that it's never going to, unless it takes two bounces and goes in, which is very unlikely. And I totally understand that I'm going to head this downwards because the keeper's going to go up like that and hope it just bounces as it goes in. But he gets over it, and therefore it bounces way earlier than he expects. And I was almost at the other end of the ground. So for me, it didn't look as bad as some people were acting. And to be honest, since I've seen it back, as I say, I think he did the right thing and he's just unlucky. it was just it kind of that moment summarized the half though. Like great move, great build up, but that final ball is just missing.
Again, can't disagree. It just honestly, that was the big frustration, and that was the hope going into half time. Just it probably would have been a big ask to maintain that type of relentlessness, but at least continue to dominate, at least continue to carve out chances.
I think we could have done it, to be honest.
And I think we did, because Barry Mackay has a shot blocked. However, all hope of us carving out chances just disappears before we've even hit the hour mark. On 53 minutes, the complexion of the game, the outcome of the tie for me is sealed. Hearts go down to 10 men. George Grant looks for contact in the box. I think Alan Forrest slips him through. Yeah. He actually appears to get round his man. But like I say, he's looking for the contact, in my opinion. I mean, it is a dive for you, yeah.
It's a clear dive. Clear dive. I know
and it's Robbie's, so stupid.
Yeah, I know Robbie's point, where he's like, as a defender, you never leave the ground unless you know that you're getting the ball. And I get that fully. That is a very valid point. What isn't a valid point is when you add to it that the defender makes no contact with Grant. And if he does, say even actually, let's give Grant the benefit of the doubt. If he does make contact, it's not in the way that Grant then falls. I'm glad
he extends his leg, hoping
that
they're conned by, you know, the defender having sort of stretching as though to win the ball.
I'm really glad we're recording this now,
so
to be honest, because now a week later I can have a much more like articulate opinion, because I think if we'd recorded it at the time or on Tuesday, I'd be furious at him. And obviously, I first of all want to say, which will become a theme in this episode, I want to mention fan reaction. Tagging him on Twitter and sending him abuse it doesn't help anybody. It's not like he went, I'm going to dive and get sent off here. Like, that's not what he's doing. Yeah. He was
Is he intending to get sent off? This is what I'd like to ask these numpties that are firing the abuse. He's not he's deliberately looking for the contact, yes. He's deliberately looking for a penalty kick, yes. He's deliberately trying to get us back in this tie, yes. What he's not looking to do is get sent off, cost the team, and ultimately piss it away.
Now, what you can say is he's incredibly naive to do that on a booking. You never do that on a booking. I can kind of understand it on if you're not booked and go down if you don't get it right, you get a booking.
Then he stays on the park, albeit is booked, and it becomes annoying. Then he plays with that little bit more caution. It's not as though he's as free as perhaps he was for the entirety.
Listen, I fully agree that his first booking's never a booking. The referee I thought was terrible. And I know it just sounds like, oh, you've been beaten, so therefore...
Kai Rolls' booking I thought was a daft one.
Yeah, like, I just didn't think he was very consistent.
Not as daft as that.
However, it's irrelevant how valid his first booking was. He was on a booking. So you only go down in the box on a booking if you are sure that there has been contact made. And listen, it's a learning experience from him. I hope he does learn from it. Obviously, he's missed the last couple of games with I think it was a thigh injury. It's been quoted as saying, like,
interesting.
Nielsen last night, as we were recording this, said he wished he had him available because he feels like his creativity
certainly could have done with him against Kelly, as we'll come to.
Which makes me think it is that it's not just a disciplinary you're being dropped, because Nielsen publicly said he wished he had Grant last night.
Because for the St Johnstone game, I would have totally understood had he been kept out, omitted for like that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of leads me on to my point. I think the thing for me is, it is a learning curve. We're not all that experienced when it comes to playing European football, this playing squad. And ultimately, as we discovered in the final 10 minutes, you don't take your chances at this level and you get punished. You can afford to do it against your St Johnstones, your St Mirrens, your, dare I say it ahead of the weekend, Livingstons. But ultimately, our fate was sealed, as with 10 minutes to go, Fabian Rohner comes off the bench to seal the deal. a shite goal to concede from a Hearts perspective, and they run to celebrate with the Zurich fans, who, to their credit, I thought were actually really good. Yeah. Minus the throwing of a suspected coin at Craig Gordon.
Yes.
I thought their flags, their pyro, and all that were great. So ultimately, I want that Ballheed that threw the coin to get banned for life. However, fair play to Zurich, and they deservedly head on to the Europa League. It feels like a massive missed opportunity.
Well, this is where we disagree. I was gutted about the result on the night, in terms of we didn't win a game that was really exciting. I personally disagree with people who say the atmosphere wasn't good. In that first half, I thought the place was bouncing. I thought it was great. Second half, it understandably completely fell flat because we know we're out of it. But I thought in that first half, it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
George Grant killed off the tie and the entire gas atmosphere simultaneously.
But, and I think Laurie Dunsire made this point on Scarves around the funnel as well, we are not ready for the Europa League. We're arguably not ready for the Conference League, which we'll get to.
No, I don't think so.
I think for this team right now and where we are as a club, the Conference League is way better for us. I think we've got chances to win games, which I don't think we had a single chance at winning a game in the groups of Europa.
Well, let's just touch on the draws now, because obviously Zurich went on, and the massive kick in the nads for me was seeing them get Arsenal. What a trip that would have been. Arsenal, PSV Eindhoven, and Bodo Glimt. Now, I love to try and be as optimistic about Heart Midlothian Football Club as I can, but those fixtures to me look absolutely grim.
I think they would have been really damaging to us as well, because I know, obviously, you can go into a game and Nielsen could go, lads, it's Arsenal. We're going to get beat here, probably. Don't worry about it. But,
probably.
Yeah. But listen, he's still a manager who wants to be a bit optimistic with his team. But what you can say, like, listen, lads, this is expected. Don't let it affect you too much. But if we get battered both games, that's going to affect you mentally. Like, that will have an effect.
Morale takes a massive hit. And then how do you simultaneously raise yourself for, say, St Johnstone as it was on the Sunday after Zurich? I wasn't looking forward to it as a fan, never mind the players that are playing in these fixtures.
So I just think the Conference League is a better avenue for us to be. As I say, you're never happy to lose a game of football, regardless of the consequences or the conditions. But generally, I just was more annoyed that we lost that game, that we were on top. I'm not too gutted that we're not in the Europa League, because there was a part of me that before all of this was like, I think the Conference League is better for us anyway.
I would love to see Zurich get absolutely battered within that group, and then, you know what, then we take some sort of comfort from it, because again, like those three opposition teams are far from appealing. However, ours look a tad more appealing, as in the Europa Conference, we've been drawn against Istanbul, Başakşehir. Oh, we've got that right.
That was spot on. Fair play.
You. Fiorentina and Latvian champions Riga. What do we make of that? Because I actually had a look today at the Perth Paisley Twitter. I got 2 of my 3 wishes here in this group, with my second seed, Fiorentina, and obviously Riga in the 4th seed. So what do you make of it?
Well, I got 1. I wanted Riga.
We all wanted Riga. Yeah, exactly. We're all off to Latvia, lads.
Yeah. But I wanted Villarreal, just in the sense of it kind of defeats my point, the point that I just made. We'd get absolutely pasted off them.
We would get torn to shreds. What were the Champions League semi-finalists last year?
Yeah, and the week that's just passed, they just handedly beat Atletico Madrid 2-0 without breaking a sweat. But imagine Royal Albion and Danny Parejo just turning up at Dalry. That's what I wanted to see. However, in fairness, now we're getting Luka Jovic and Ozil turn up at Dalry, so that's quite cool. I think, listen, Riga, we should win both those games. So I cannot wait until we beat Fiorentina at Tynecastle. The place is jumping, then we go to Latvia and get our arses handed to us. But I think that, listen, we should beat them. So that's what you look at and go, that should be 6 points. If you then get like a draw,
don't even suggest it.
We need to beat at Tynecastle, Istanbul, or Fiorentina. We need to beat one of them to have a chance of going through, on the condition that we beat Riga twice, which I do not trust us to do at all.
Yeah. Say we get 6 points off Riga, but none off Fiorentina.
Then it's interesting.
What would we sneak through with against Başakşehir here?
We need to get someone in Istanbul, which is not happening. We're going to get battered in Istanbul.
But I'm on and off the park. That is the least appealing away day of the three. Yeah. My goodness.
I'm excited for it because, like I say, I know Fiorentina. I couldn't believe Fiorentina were the second seed. When I saw the group, I was like, so Fiorentina have been first seed at Istanbul.
Can I just say, the third seeds, how the hell are we, Shamrock Rovers, like Nice, Anderlecht, was it, and Sevilla? Like, that is the most random selection
how
of
did
teams
Nice
I've ever
get
seen.
into pot 3? Nice should be up there in pot 1. Like,
even
that's
then, like
mental.
West Ham reached the Europa League semis last year before being knocked out by Frankfurt.
Yeah.
They were the bottom of the top seed.
It goes by your country's coefficient,
I assume so, which
that's why Villarreal
English clubs have been underperforming, and obviously, like you say, with Real Madrid winning the Champions League, Villarreal's is sky high.
And also, West Ham, where did they not finish like 6th last season or 5th or 7th? Did they not finish 7th to get into it?
6th, I think. Did they
6th. So that's the thing. So like the top 4 in England will have the highest coefficient points. So in the Champions League, they were all
like Tottenham's group in the Champions League.
Yeah,
a piece of piss.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas West Ham for finishing 6th, that coefficient will be much less than Spain's finishing of 3rd, for example.
Actually, I can't remember off the top of my head. Who did West Ham? West Ham got Steaua Bucharest, Anderlecht, and Silkeborg.
They'll piss that. They shouldn't drop points in that. Anderlecht will probably be their hardest game.
So there you go. But yeah, again, like looking elsewhere, couple that I was glad to avoid. Partizan Belgrade would have been fireworks on and off the park. I'm pretty pleased that we avoided them, if I'm honest. Villarreal, just because we'd got an absolute schooling. Yeah. I noticed a lot of folk after Cologne. I think they were second seed. Is that right?
Yes, they were.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been good.
But that's disappointing. But on the whole, that could have been a lot worse for us.
Yeah.
Again, had we got West Ham instead of Istanbul, I'd have had my dream group. I'd have been delighted with that. Because London, that new stadium, that I'm forever blowing bubbles, just all of that.
I hate West Ham. I'm really glad you didn't get them. But I'm just excited. That's it. Even though my season ticket seat's been moved for the European games.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I've been moved. So that's a nightmare. But I'll still be there.
Compensate,
No. So I'll still be there.
No. It's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's not great.
You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. And one other new man is going to be there as Hearts completed the signing of German midfielder. Right. Okay.
I know how to
let's go for it. Okay. Well, I'll let you carry me here because I'm going to give it a bash. Orestes Kiamurtsoglu.
Basically, yeah, that's basically it. I think it's Murtsioglu.
Murtsioglu, right?
Yeah.
Okay. From Dutch side, Heracles Almelo.
We signed him from Hercules, basically. That's how
signed him from Holland. The big German fella for Holland.
Yes, exactly.
The 24-year-old joins the Jambos, subject international clearance and visa approval on a 3-year deal for an undisclosed fee.
Rumoured to be around 350k.
Perfect. All I knew was that he was a former German under-21 international, and again, Hearts said all that. Cuts an imposing figure in the middle of the park at 6'2", so that's smashing.
Yes.
We'll just get Robbie's thoughts. Speaking to the official Hearts website, manager Robbie Nielsen said, "I'm delighted we've managed to get Orestes in on a permanent deal. He's one we've had our eye on for a while, so to be able to bring him here ahead of the window closing is great news. He'll bring a real presence to our midfield, and his style of play will be well suited to the system we implement here. We're building a squad capable of challenging on two fronts, both domestically and in Europe, and to have Orestes be a part of it is a big plus." And then Joe Savage has said, "We made no secret of our ambitions to supplement our squad, but it's always been about quality over quantity, and we've got that in Orestes. Our recruitment department, led by Will Lansfield, do a fantastic job in sourcing potential targets, and they identified Orestes some time ago as someone who could come in and improve the team. We've had to be patient to get him in, but we're all really happy that he's going to be pulling on the maroon jersey. And once again, I have to give my thanks to the board of the directors for their faith and backing in us to take this club to the next level." We don't know the foggiest.
No, I was just about to say, would you like some stats?
Oh, fire away.
Stat man's back.
The floor is yours.
So, in his league, in terms of comparing them to other players, in terms of attacking, in shots per 90, he's in the 75th percentile. Expected goals, he's in the 80%. Expected goals per 90, 85%. Then the more likely
so
thing
that would suggest that he's a sitter.
Yeah, the more likely thing is defensive work, which is incredibly positive. Successful defensive actions in the 80% rank. Interceptions 90%. Aerial duels, he's in 95th percentile. So he wins everything basically. He just never ever loses in the ball. Aerial duels 80%.
Can I just say, he and Cammy Devlin standing next to one another will be tremendous.
Some laugh. Long balls, 80% percentile, and then accurate long balls, 70%, accurate passes, 65%. He looks like a proper holding midfielder, and I'm really excited by him.
You love these defensive-minded players.
I love defenders. I love goalkeepers. I love number sixes. You can have your fancy wingers and your strikers. I don't care about that. I care about big bastards who will heed the ball all the time. That's what I want.
It looks like he's going to be heeding the ball, playing it at 6-2.
Him and Halkett will never go to lose a ball ever again.
But what I do want to ask you is, because I know that you're a massive Peter Haring fan, what with him signing a year's deal, dare I say it, does this spell the end for Big Pedro? Not for you.
Not for me. It never will be the end for me. I think for European games, yes. I don't think Haring is, because of his lack of pace, which was evident before his injury, but since he came back from his injury, he's even slower. I think at the European level, it might be too much for him. I'd still chuck him out against Fiorentina just so he can say he's played that and he deserves that.
Pete.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's been through a shit time with the club.
Yeah.
Him and Michael Smith are the first two names on the team sheet.
Let them play against Fiorentina. Even if it's a 12-0 battering, just let them play, because they just let
them play the two of them.
Yeah.
See how they get on.
Exactly. Let's see. But domestically, I still don't think... Listen, we've got like 8 fit players. Everybody's going to be playing all the time. So I don't think this season it does. Potentially, obviously his contract is, he signed a year extension with an option by the club for an extra year if we want to pick it up.
All right.
We'll need to see. It depends how Keogh does. If he hits the ground running, then yeah, there's probably a higher chance.
I love how nobody is going to refer to him as his full second name.
It's Keogh.
Really Keogh, and that's Keogh.
It. Yes, it's Keogh. But as with any signing, he might turn out to not be as great as we're all hoping. So Haring still fills a role. But the good thing is that in the middle of the park, we have loads of options. We might not have loads of options everywhere else, but in the middle of the park, we've got like Devlin, Haring, Benny when he's back, Halliday, Keogh. Technically, we've got like Finlay Pollock. Grant can drop in. We've got quite a few. Connor Smith, Halliday. We've got like nearly 10 centre mids, so we're fine in the middle of the park.
Which is great news. And I can't wait to see this fella play. I've got to be honest.
He also has lovely fashion sense, as we saw at the St Johnstone game.
Great. I hope that brings him success on the park. That'd be marvellous. Unlucky may make his debut. Is he eligible to make his debut this weekend? Do we know?
If we get the visa in time, yes. He's done a full pre-season, so he's fully fit. It's just we're waiting on this visa, as we've seen it. Basically, it's Brexit. Brexit's just knackered this for EU nationals, because we've seen it in the Premier League with Isaac at Newcastle, Mopey at Everton.
Justin Kluivert's move to Fulham has been knocked back today because
the delays just keep happening because of Brexit.
But let's move on.
We're not getting into that.
No, we're not getting into that. No. But we look forward to seeing Keogh playing both continentally and potentially in the Cinch. And we're going to chat about last weekend in the Cinch, which was very, very intriguing, particularly the Sunday, and not just because Hearts were involved. But if we go through the Saturday, Aberdeen just seemed to love playing against 10 men, as it was 0-0 against Livingston up until the Lions went down to 10, and then they coincidentally battered them 5-0, so well done. Kelly picked up their first league win of the season. Yeah,
that was always going to happen.
Coming from behind to beat Motherwell by 2-1 at Rugby Park. Rangers beat Ross County 4-0. I was surprised to see it as comfy as that. And my favourite of the Saturday fixtures, which was key in helping my coupon land, St Mirren 1, Hibernian 0. A tremendous result for Stephen Robinson's men. 3 consecutive Premiership wins without conceding. And Lee Johnson was basically told that his team was brutal and agreed, which was always great. What did you make of the 4 on the Saturday, mate?
That video is amazing. I'll get to him in a bit. I have no idea what to make of Aberdeen yet this year, because at times they've looked like world beaters, and that Majowski looks really good. Like, he looks very good, which is worrying.
So much so that the talk was that they were willing to let Christian Ramirez leave, but now it seems like Jim Goodwin said no.
Yeah.
So that's annoying.
But by all accounts, before the red card, Livy were actually well on top. So
yeah, from what I gather on Sports Scene.
Yeah, so it's hard to work out. Kelly,
so that's good ahead of play them on Saturday.
Exactly. Kelly getting that win was always going to happen. You just knew it was. Hamilballs hit its first speed bump.
I actually had a draw for that. I had 1 each, so I thought that was going to land until Kelly nicked that winner. Shock horror, like you say, that it rises before playing us in the cup.
Motherwell apparently were not good either. Like, I watched the highlights, obviously, and as highlights do, they can tend to be quite even. But according to Motherwell fans, they were very, very poor.
But Kevin Van Veen is flying.
Yeah.
In a minute.
Don't know what's happening with him either.
I think it's 7-4 or something.
7,
like that.
something. It's something mental.
In all competitions.
He's doing very well. Ross County Rangers. I don't know what's happening with Ross County, because in every game I see them, they look in it all the time, but they just aren't getting any points. And it's one of those things where
that's an interesting clash this weekend, Ross County Aberdeen. Actually,
100%. I am really intrigued to see what happens, because Malky Mackay I almost guarantee it will sacrifice good performances for points. Like,
100%.
He just needs that. And then Hibs St Mirren. St Mirren could have had 3 or 4, and they should have had 3 or 4 in this game.
Eamon Brophy had his shooting boots on.
No, that's just Eamon Brophy. I know you love Eamon Brophy, and I don't understand why. He's just very bad.
I did until I realised how injury prone. That's one that we've steered well clear of. I can see why he ended up at St Mirren as opposed to Hearts and Aberdeen.
I don't know what Lee Johnson's trying to do, and I think that's a criticism I've seen other Hibs fans give him, where it's like, there's clearly some players there that are good, right? I know Eliuan apparently didn't have a very good game, but I think he's a good signing. Martin Boyle's obviously Martin Boyle. But like, they don't...
The defence, though, it's so weird, isn't it?
They don't seem to have a structure, and that midfield 3 hasn't worked for like 18 months. And I don't understand why he keeps persisting with it. I'm fully on board with him continually persisting with it, because...
by all means. I mean, you're struggling to work out what Lee Johnson's doing. I think Lee Johnson's struggling to work out what Lee Johnson's doing.
And
watch them beat Kelly at the weekend.
I think they will. They're at home, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they will. I think they'll beat Kelly. But listen, that that soundbite from Lee Johnson, it went everywhere. And it's been quite an interesting reaction because Hibs fans are split on it. Obviously, neutrals are laughing at it, just like, of course, that's amazing.
That's the one consolation where it's a bit shite for us at the minute, but at least we're not them.
Yeah. But I've seen Hibs fans be quite split, where some are saying, look, it's good that he's been so open and honest about the situation with the team. And he has been like that since he came in. And it's like, listen, some people really like that, and fair play to him for being so honest. But at the same time, there's an element of, right, but you need to, this is your squad. Like, unless they make 19 signings in the next 7 hours, that's the squad you've got. You're going to need to get a tune out of them. So if you suddenly just keep throwing them under the bus, what's that going to do for the players' morale?
It just seems a bit of a mess all over, because it seems like it's a good 3 or 4 managers signings all
together,
sort of all in that same squad. That I don't know. It's really bizarre, but something that was equally as entertaining was the Sunday matches, and we were the last to kick off. However, Jack Ross has paid the price as Dundee United manager after 10 weeks, I believe it is, with his last match in charge being a resounding 9-0 defeat to Celtic at Tannadice. Dundee United's heaviest home defeat ever. Celtic's record away win, 9-0 in Dundee. Wow.
It was a bad day for cardigan-wearing managers at the end of 9-0 defeats. Bad weekend for them. Around the 4th goal, you can just see the players give up completely.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, the last goal, Starfelt's header, is he starts to run into the box and then goes, oh, I can just walk in here. Nobody's following me at all. It doesn't matter to make a nice, good attacking run. It's like, oh, I can just walk in here and just have a complete free header. Listen, I think Jack Ross, I obviously predicted them to finish 3rd, right? That's clearly not happening, right?
We've had a shocker there.
That is clearly not happening. But they should be way better than it. Look at the squad they have.
Yeah, it's a good squad.
And
it is a good squad.
And
no surprise, Liam Fox gets a tune out of them on Wednesday night.
I know.
Their first win in Livy for like 17 years, I think I read somewhere.
This is the thing, though. I know that Jack Ross is to blame for a lot of that, right? I do get that. But there is clearly an imbalance of player power there. Those players clearly chucked it. There was all these rumours of the players having a meeting, and it was like, it can go one of 2 ways. It can be really positive that they've met up and been like, listen, we need to get our act together and play for Jack Ross. And what clearly actually happened was, listen, we fancy him. We're no playing for him.
And Charlie Mulgrew and Tony Watt were the 2 that were pinpointed when Jack Ross had dropped. I couldn't help but watch when they came to Tynecastle. I was watching Tony Watt and Ryan Edwards arguing. And it was frankly hilarious. I would love to know what happens with Ryan. Like, is Ryan Edwards being loyal to Jack Ross, whereas Tony Watt and Charlie Mulgrew haven't? Is there bad eggs within the playing squad? Is there just a rift right down the heart of it?
Well, there was rumours that Tam
like
Courts allowed Charlie Mulgrew to just like run the dressing room basically, and he handled the tactics side of it, whereas Charlie handled the one-to-one stuff. And Jack Ross came in and was like, "I'm the manager. Like, I'm gonna do what I say." And Charlie has just went no. And if that is the case, if Mulgrew and Watt and stuff like that have done that, it's like a smaller version of what's happened at Man United over the last few years, where like Man United, the players have just chucked it under repeated managers.
That's it. And the managers are the one to pay the price when ultimately it's the players doing. But no matter. I mean, hey, United's season was just meant to start with such promise, and it's just already
start of August. They beat AZ 1-0 at home. By the end of August, they conceded 25 goals in 5 games or something, and had their manager sacked, and had been beaten 7-0, 9-0, 4-1 in that time.
3-0 at home to St Mirren.
Yeah,
awful. But I say that United were going through a torrid time. We were going through something of a torrid time until the weekend, as we had 3 consecutive defeats. However, there was no time to dwell. We were straight back on the horse as we took on St Johnstone at Tynecastle. Robbie Neilson opted to make 6 changes from the Europa disappointment against Zurich to face St Johnstone. In came Lewis Neilson for his first Hearts start, Nathaniel Atkinson, Peter Haring, Andy Halliday, Josh Ginnelly and Gary Mackay-Steven. No place in the matchday squad for Alex Cochrane, Stephen Kingsley or George Grant, like we mentioned. And again, lining up as Gordon in goal. A back 3 appeared as Smith, Neilson and Rowles, with Atkinson, Haring, Devlin and Halliday across the middle. Josh Ginnelly and Gary Mackay-Steven supporting lone striker Liam Boyce. What did you make of the changes? Were you happy to see, dare I say it, a weaker 11? A couple interesting calls with regards to selection. What were your thoughts?
I didn't expect the entire front 3 to be rotated. I didn't expect Shankland, Mackay and Forrest to miss out. I expected one or a couple to, but I didn't expect all 3 of them to miss out. I found that very interesting. The big takeaway was that Neilson was getting his first start. I don't think anybody could have predicted how well it could have gone, but I was very excited at that prospect. I thought he impressed in the pre-season games that I saw. He's a unit. How that guy is only 19 is terrifying. Like, it is baffling. But that was my main takeaway. I was really excited to see Lewis Neilson play. And I was a bit surprised at the front 3 all being dropped. I understood it. I just didn't expect it to happen.
Were you surprised to see George Grant omitted from the matchday squad entirely?
I was glad that he was omitted.
Yeah, I think it was for the best.
Yeah, but now obviously it's come out that he was dropped for actual injury reasons, not just decision-making reasons. But yeah, I think it benefited. Well, benefited us is the right word. It definitely didn't benefit us last night. But I think on Sunday it was like, okay, this is a opposition we should be beating. We can do without them.
And so it proved after just 6 minutes. As Hearts would fall behind. Michael Smith sends an easy ball back to Craig Gordon, whose miss kick falls straight at Graham Carey's foot. I will give him credit. It's a fantastic touch with his right foot, considering the velocity behind Craig Gordon's clearance. And outside of the left peg, past Scotland's number 1 into an empty net. An absolutely disastrous start. But what I wanted to ask you was, have you watched it properly? Craig Gordon runs into the post afterwards. Was he out on Saturday night with Ryan Porteous and the Alchemist, or what was going on?
He does that out of anger, I think. He's kind of, it's not like he just doesn't know it's there. Like, he's annoyed at himself. I think it was the Terrace podcast. I think it was Robert Borthwick who made the point, or someone else did. Has no one ever in 20 years of goalkeeping said, Craig, let's have a day practicing with your right foot? Even one day. Listen, I'm not going to be too critical of him. It's the first big mistake he's made since he came back to us. But it was mental. It was just like, oh, okay, sound.
It certainly woke me up, I tell you. I mean, the boys and I were out on Saturday night. I ended up getting the Royal bus in from the pub on Sunday, and I was starting to wonder what on earth I'd been drinking both the Sunday and the Saturday night, because that was wild. Quite the wake-up call, but it sprung the game into life, I will say that. So he's probably done us a favour, in all honesty. Hearts obviously then looked to respond. Josh Ginnelly shot wide after receiving from Liam Boyce. Shock horror. Peter Haring would send a free kick into the wall before Andy Halliday would chest it down and blast wide. But this is a key moment that I didn't realise would prove quite as pivotal. And I saw Joel Sked mention this on Twitter, that there's a protocol in place whereby if there's a sub for concussion, it allows for us to make an extra change, or both sides to make an extra change. So we benefit from Melker Hallberg being knocked out. So that was good.
I hope he's all right, by the way. That was really scary.
It's annoying because I had him to be booked. But yes, I hope that he's well.
That was fucking really scary how they didn't move him for like 4 minutes, which But again, speaking about fan reaction, the folk booing him, grow up. Like, the guy was down for 4 minutes because he was knocked out completely and then could barely walk after it.
Yeah, booing the goalkeeper for time wasting, I'm
that's
fully
fine.
on board. Yeah, that's an unintentional bit of time wasting.
A guy who doesn't know where he is. I don't think it's right to
woken
boo
up
him.
and he just deafened by the boos.
But I think not only the extra sub, I think him going off really affected St Johnstone. I thought he was really good in that holding role for them. And
it was bizarre seeing Ryan McGowan then move into it, particularly in the second half. But love Gowser bits. Sorry, Gowser.
No, I have a bone to pick you up for the next point you're going to make.
Well, that's good. But I was going to say that it wouldn't take us all that long because we would pull level on 25 minutes. Finally, I've seen something from Gary Mackay-Steven. I will say this. His set-piece delivery is by far and away the best in the squad.
It's his best quality,
without a shadow of a doubt. Because his legs have gone. I don't like. He's a bit of a shite bag when it comes to challenges on the park, but from a dead ball, he's tremendous. And he knocks one in. There's Kai Rolls up from the back, bullet header, first Hearts goal, but it appears to be a detriment. And I'm gutted actually that he's out for a little while after opening his account for the club.
I have two issues with this. One, I had Kai Rolls for first goal scorer, 150 quid.
No way.
So I'm more annoyed at Gordon than anybody else.
On that?
It was £2. No, £3, sorry. £3, 150 quid.
50 to 1?
50 to 1, aye.
150.
So cheers, Craig. Cheers, Craig. Love you for that, mate.
Oh, no. So is he the new Michael Smith?
Yeah, because Michael Smith's odds are now 16 to 1.
Well, that's, yeah. Yeah, they've Sky Bet.
They've caught on.
So
it's a disaster.
So what? Kai Rolls, has this been a consistent thing though? Is my question.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my mate, I would be spewing.
And then
I was spewing when I saw Halbert get taken off for that bet builder. I was like,
then even more annoyed that he's broken his metatarsal and is out for 68 weeks, and it was Gowser who did it to him. I know it's not deliberate.
Was it?
But still, it's Gowser. Gowser goes up with him and lands, and you can. And this is what I mean. It's no Gowser's fault.
I didn't even know that. You scumbag, Ryan.
You can see in the slow motion, Gowser starts to realise that he's going to land on rolls, and you can see in his face he tries to move his leg, but it's all moving too quickly that he can't and lands on his foot.
Oh no, that is not good. He follows the account on Instagram. We need to start some beef with him tonight. That's not on. I'm not having that. Can I just say, this wasn't just solely down to Gowser. St Johnstone, Hammer Throwers FC.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. They're just an embarrassing
moly.
Football club who are going to get relegated this season.
I honestly, I've never wanted something that doesn't affect Hearts. Well, I say that. I've never wanted something that Hearts at the heart of as much in my football-related life as I do St Johnstone to be relegated. I beg that this is the year.
But Kai Rolls is excellent. He's been excellent.
Get
his first goal.
Chuff for him.
I love him to pieces. I really hope it's closer to 6 weeks rather than 8 weeks. It'll be a disgrace if he doesn't get to go to the World Cup after how influential he was for Australia getting to the World Cup. But the hope is obviously, if it's 2 months, it's like, right, then he's got a few weeks to come back. His performances for us have been excellent. His performances for Australia have been excellent. So even if he's come back from injury, I think he should still get a call up, and he fully deserves it.
Yep, just looked so assured in that back 3/4. Looked at a real fine. So well done. And less than 5 minutes later, Hearts would turn the game on its head. I was pleased for Kai Rolls. I was delighted for this goal scorer. Lewis Nielsen, who, again, we've touched on, was excellent on his first start intercepts. Smith heads on. Devlin and Haring combine before the latter just sends Josh Ginnelly away down the right flank. Gino's crossing is suspect at times, but this is absolutely on the money for Liam Boyce to just nod home. His first of the season, his first since April, and given the piss poor run of form that he was in, I was genuinely buzzing for him. I thought he has needed that for a long time. Thought this was him back to his best.
Wait, you've
But
not focused on the important part of all this that was the discussion online.
Is this to do with the celebration?
What do you make of it?
It's probably just directed at me, to be honest.
That is exactly why I'm all for it. Gino did, so see when it happened, I didn't realise Boyce did it because I was watching Gino doing it. Gino did the exact same thing. He turns to section N and does that at them and does the exact same. So I just thought Gino did it at someone who had been shouting at him in the.
I'm upper end. I'm not taking responsibility. If it's to the scumbags in lower, that's fine.
So I thought it was just, somebody's been giving him abuse all day and he's just done that, so he's turned and did it. But it clearly was a decision made. And listen, fans are really quick to give their opinions on players, but don't seem to like it when players give it them back. Additionally,
it's Stephen McLean-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is the thing. Liam Boyce is not Stephen McLean. Liam Boyce is 25 Stephen McLeans. I think some people have been a bit too quick to forget that in the time that he's been here, full 2 seasons, he's been our top goal scorer in both of them. He's been so key to us. And what happened next, in my opinion, is the biggest nightmare of the season. Flat going out to Zurich, what happened to Boyce is the worst nightmare that could have happened to us this year.
As Daniel Phillips is booked on a challenge, it actually looks as though he takes out both Devlin and Boyce, which is remarkable. And I have seen, I think he's been booked in every single St Johnstone appearance now. So he's like the bet builder's new favourite. I should have done my research prior to that and chucked him on there. That seemed a sure thing. But it's looking bad for Boise.
He knew as soon as he went down.
Yeah. As soon as they started getting the stretcher, the fact that he misses the European campaign as well, like, this is the thing that I think most fans don't seem to take account of. That must just kill you mentally. Yeah, the mental aspect of it is horrible. Listen, I was saying this, as soon as he went down, I knew he was fucked. As someone who has dislocated their knee 2 times in my lifetime, there is not a worse feeling. It's unimaginable levels of pain. I never thought it was a great one, if I'm honest. But no. And as soon as he did it, I knew it was something to do with his knee, by his reaction, by the immediate cry and just holding his knee as tight as he could, because that is your reaction. You know something's wrong and you just hold it. And it was, obviously it's turned out to be a cruciate. You can see in Jordan's film, he's got a perfect angle what happens where his foot gets stuck in the ground, his knee goes the other way to the rest of his body. Liam Boyce, alongside Craig Halkett, is our most important outfield player. I think that is the season knackered because of Boyce's injury. I do. I think this is where we need that still game meme where Jack's just giving it. That's the whole thing knackered. Exactly. It literally is that. And listen, we sit here now as we're recording at 5:20. There's still no news of any signings. We need. There's still 6.5 hours left as we sit here. We need a like-for-like replacement, and I think that's impossible. I think what Liam Boyce does for us often goes completely unnoticed by a lot of fans, and he gets it tight because he doesn't score. When that now has changed, his role's changed when Shankland came in. His role changed when Sims came in. He's now a number 10, and we'll get to it, obviously, speaking about Kelly, but literally the next game, we've seen how much we miss him and how lifeless we look up front without him. So I just, obviously, all the best. Hopefully it can be much like Kai, where hopefully it's closer to 6 weeks rather than 8. Hopefully it's closer to 6 months rather than 9. But whatever way you look at it, it's a disaster. It is a disaster. Is it till midnight, the deadline? Yeah. Yeah, so 6.5 hours. I hope Robbie and Joe Boy are making some calls. As you all know what's happened. We're sat here clueless, no understanding anything. He's a centre forward / number 10, ideally both. We need 3. We need 3 in my opinion. Go on then, give us some. We need 2 forwards and a right-sided centre half. No chance we're getting. I can't see that. I can't.
Near
see
can
that.
I think it's really bad.
Is there some free agents out there that could do a job after the deadline?
I don't actually know. It's a fair point.
I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah.
we conceded again. So that was a laugh.
I was going to try and be optimistic there and say that we've turned it round and everything was looking great. However, the start of the second half, this to me is, I'm sick to death of saying it. Kill the bloody contest. This is the epitome of it. Josh Ginnelly pounces on a slack back pass, takes it past Remy Matthews. He can either look to continue with his electric pace and try and score himself, or set up Lauren Shankland. He opts for the latter. Shankland hits straight at the goalkeeper. It's saved. Peter Haring dives for a penalty. Just again, he's got George Grant syndrome.
There's a lot more. Watch Jordan's film.
I don't
the guy gets almost none of the ball. I don't think it's a pen, but I don't think it's a dive. I think there was contact there, and I think a different ref could give that as a pen. I don't think he does. I don't think the guy does win the ball.
Well, either way, this is my annoyance because we are the only team in world football that do not score these type of breakaways. And then we're instantly punished for it up the other end. Graham Carey's effort saved by Gordon. They swing in a corner. Stevie May flicks on. And who appears at the back stick? Andy bloody Considine. Andy Considine. He's about 40.
Big for
great chance to go 3-1 up. Kill it. It's dead. It's done. Move on to next week. But no. Instead, we're tied up at 2 each.
As soon as they broke from us missing it, I out loud was like, they're scoring now. I just knew it's the way football works. It's the way football works. I was like, right, this is a goal. It's quite a good corner, to be honest. It's quite a good corner. Probably you look at both the centre mids, Devlin and Haring. Devlin misses the first header, Haring misses the second header. But yeah, very frustrating. And you just knew it was like, right, sound. But then it all ended up fine.
It did. I can relax. It did. Because Alan Forrester hit the bar. Craig Gordon saved from Ali Crawford. A great little effort. Josh Ginnelly ballooned one wide. But we would do to St Johnstone what St Johnstone had done to us. They have a throw-in through no other than Andy Considine himself. Theo Bear flicks on, but Craig Gordon gathers. He then just sends a long punt up the park, bounces kindly for Barry Mackay, takes past Liam Gordon, wiped out, penalty kick. And we've got the chance to seal the deal with 10 minutes to go. My ticker was going through the roof this entire afternoon. It was horrible. It was grim, but it needed to be done. Lauren Shankland steps up, slots home coolly, 3-2, job done. Thank God for that.
I found it very funny that everybody rightly criticises Craig Gordon's distribution and we win the game because Gordon puts a pinpoint pass to Mackay. I don't know what Liam Gordon's doing because Barry Mackay's played that ball out of play. He's taken way too heavy touch.
We got lucky with the bounce, I think, from Mackay as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't directly go from Gordon to Mackay.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Bouncing Barry Mackay's just sort of latches onto it in the end.
Yeah. Mackay's touch, it takes it out. It's going out of play, and Gordon just absolutely halves him down. Shankland, I saw a stat before the game, so I was worried about it. Is that before that penalty, he'd taken 5, and all of them had went into the bottom left corner as you look at the goal. And I think clearly he knew that because the keeper dived to the bottom left and he went the other way. Which, listen, that takes balls to go the other side to what you've been used to. Shankland, that's now 4 goals in 6 games, 5 goal contributions in 7 in all competitions. 2 pens from 2. He's just doing very well. And it's great to see. You can tell by his celebration that it meant a lot. Just really happy. And then nothing really happens towards the end of the game. But for me, I think that's a huge 3 points.
100%.
The game it reminded me of was last season, ironically, as there our opponents at the weekend was away at Livingston. Remember that game where Gordon made those like 4 saves inside a minute, and the last one was from Holt.
Ben Woodburn was taken off after half an hour.
Yes, exactly that game. That game was huge for us because we were coming across a bit of a shaky patch of form. We were really under the cosh. If we'd lost that game, I think it could have potentially started a tailspin, but we stuck it out. Boyce scored, and we actually ended up winning the game, and then our form upticked again. I think that game on Sunday, missing a lot of key players, the game's so stop-start because they were just kicking lumps out of us. We go behind early due to a mistake. We lose 2 key players. We get pegged back again, but we still managed to get the full 3 points with a completely makeshift backline at the very least. I thought it absolutely huge. And now is when we should mention Lewis Nielsen, because what a home debut. Like, brilliant. He looked like he'd been playing every week instead of having his first home
very
debut.
Assured. The way he takes it out from the back. United, there's something going on up at United because John Suter did that. Lewis Nielsen can do that.
It's very impressed.
We rob them, and then hopefully Lewis Nielsen will actually make some money on that.
Yes, exactly.
So
tough for him.
Again, totally agree. What, 19? It just came in and an absolute scoosh. Again, makes you question why he wasn't thrown in there.
Especially after he had such a good pre-season. It's not like he was unproven in pre-season. He did very well in pre-season, then just never got a sniff. And
the criticism of Toby Sibic as a right centre-half.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him potentially be one of the 10 options in the middle of the park and just have Lewis Nielsen ahead of him in the pecking order.
100%.
Back, definitely. But yes, got there in the end against St Johnstone. You spoke about the game that it reminded you of. Why does St Johnstone try and spring a surprise on us every now and then? The record in Perth against us is brilliant. But do you remember, I think it was the opening day actually, after Robbie had brought us up and we won 4-3. Yeah.
Juanma's debut.
But like they scored 24 league goals last season, St Johnstone. And there's 2 already at Tynecastle.
Yeah,
what is going on? But I mentioned St Johnstone's record in Perth. How bloody good is Kelly's record at Tynecastle?
Listen, I'm saying this before we analyse the game, which we're only going to dedicate a lot to.
No, we've wasted enough time in this episode, and we've still got the quiz to go.
When I said the draw happened, I got so much shit on Twitter saying that's a nightmare draw, that's a disaster, it's the 3rd worst team we could have got. That's ridiculous. What are you talking about? They've just come up. I knew that. I didn't know that the record was that good. But
the record's phenomenal.
I expected it to be around here.
I think since 2011, 12?
2010, 11.
2010, 11. You're spot on. At Tynecastle, Hearts wins 3, 2 draws, 12 Kilmarnock wins.
I didn't think it was that many, but I expected it to be heavily in their favour. And I knew last night was going to happen. We obviously didn't do a show before the game, but my prediction was going to be a 2-1 loss. I didn't think we'd win. Like, I just had a feeling that we'd lose. I said it before the game. Even when, and I was speaking to some people after the game, such as like Hartslow and Borthwick and Andrew Petrie, who were saying, did you even expect that team? And I expected us to be really full on and full strength, but I still expected us to lose because it's something about, like, we seem to just have Dundee United's number, right? Doesn't matter what seems to be happening in recent years, we seem to beat Dundee United. Doesn't seem what's happening in recent years. Killy beat us.
Going into last night, I don't know.
But
then I thought like if we just like we'll just talk generally about the game, like rather than breaking out chances or whatever. I thought it was so flat in the stands last night as well. And I don't care what anybody says, that transpires to players on the park. It must do. It was so dead from the get-go.
I think there's not as many people there as
on
well.
And off the park. Of course, but why? Like the club have made a decent price. I know that Europe comes to the forefront, and myself included. Some of us have booked trips to far and wide, but I don't know. Maybe it's a historical thing.
It's a historical thing. I saw a stat where the year after we won the cup in '98, the first round that we played in the next season had an attendance of 7,500 at Tynecastle.
That's shocking, man.
We just seem to, historically, we don't turn up. for the early rounds. I mean, we were there, weren't we? We were there. I wish we weren't. Like, I now actually fully respect all the folk that didn't go out for that, because I could have saved myself some time. The biggest thing I can say about last night is that I hoped it didn't go to extra time. In the 80th minute, I was like, they go to extra time. They go. I'm not.
I sort of hear that
half an
because
hour
of congestion as much. Yeah, I think even Robbie wasn't all that arsed if it did by the changes that he brought on, like your youngsters and what have you. Obviously taking Devlin off.
I think he picked up a knock though. I think last night Kingsley's got a knock, obviously. Smith picked up a knock. Devlin picked up a knock. Mackay looked like he could barely stand at the end of the game.
Well, this is it. Obviously, Atkinson was taken out from the St Johnstone game. Can I just say, I know we're talking about Killy. If Nathaniel Atkinson continues to wear green boots, he will be my boo boy. What is that? Why has nobody pulled him up for that yet? That is embarrassing.
But as I said, when we were speaking about the St Johnstone game, I knew we would miss Liam Boyce pretty quickly. I didn't expect it to be literally the next game that it just shows how little we can do without him. And I know, and listen, I disagree with a lot of the kind of reaction in the last 24 hours where people are just like, the team is suddenly shit. Like, that's not what's happened.
I was still as strong a team as we could have named in the circumstances.
And that's the thing. You need to look at the context of it. We're currently going through an injury crisis similar to 2017 through 20, where we just never seem to be able to play our first team. We are obviously going to lose games here and now. And yes, the manner of defeat last night, it was so flat, it was so rubbish.
That's a big thing for me.
It was really bad. But you need to look at the context of it. We're not suddenly a bad team. We're not suddenly... I think every signing in this window has been a success so far. Obviously, it's a very short time period. But so far, they've all made the team better. But we cannot mitigate having our three best defenders and best forward all go out for different periods of time.
Yeah, it's going back to the whole not ready for European football thing. We're not ready to challenge on two fronts, and that's been proved already. I don't mind Hearts losing games if we've been blown out the water by a better team or a team that show that bit fight, deserve it on the night. If we're piss poor and we get beat, you deserve everything that's coming to you. But the fact that Hearts barely looked threatening last night, I mean, I couldn't even name you a couple of clear-cut chances. Really, that was my big annoyance.
I think we had 2 shots on target, 1 in each half.
I couldn't even tell you. Cochrane's maybe in the second half, and that was from way out.
Cochrane was good last night again, by the way.
But I couldn't tell you our first half chance.
No idea.
Terrible.
I want to focus on a positive because there's not a lot of them.
Go for it.
I didn't think I'd be saying this, but Toby Sibic for me was a positive last night.
Yes.
He absolutely was. And this is where what I say, it's obviously been the hot topic on Twitter in the last 24 hours. It's an absolute embarrassment to boo your own players, in my opinion, at any capacity. To boo a player coming onto the park is just embarrassing. I want to say, for the St Johnstone game, I walked past Toby Sibic and Alex Cochrane. First of all, Toby Sibic is fucking massive. He is huge. It is terrifying how big he is. But they were right up the back of the middle bit where all the players and chairmen and stuff like that sit
of course,
during the game.
Suspended. Yeah.
Yes. I sit right up the back of that. So they were, as we were waiting to leave the St Johnstone game, they were nipping down the back. I put a guy who, he didn't do it to Sibic's face because he was too scared. But as soon as Sibic dipped his head down through a door, but still when he knew Sibic would have heard him, he was making donkey noises at him. And it's just an absolute embarrassment. Booing him when he comes on is equally embarrassing. And then, I don't think he put a foot wrong. He was one of our better players when he came in. It's so clear he cannot play in a 3, but he's way more comfortable in a 2 or in the middle of the park.
I actually think he's been really good or found wanting so far this season, and the disparity in quality of performance is just wild. He actually looks really comfy and assured at points, and other times he just looks like Bambi on ice. So I don't know what the solution is.
I think it's, obviously, I'm not comparing the 2 players in terms of ability. One is much better. but I feel like it could be a Halkett situation where it's evident that he can't play in one system. So play him regularly in the system he can, and then that allows him to grow in confidence. So then when you go back, because now Halkett can just play anywhere in defence and seems great. So do that with Sibic.
I think Sibic's one of the duo in front of the back four. I really do.
So do I. I fully agree. He should be playing in the middle of the park. But if Robbie's insistent in playing him as a defender, play him in a two. I thought it was so unfair to chuck him on against Zurich. Come on, Robbie. You had Lewis Nielsen on the bench as well.
But is that just for experience and the fact that he depended on him for the first leg, where again he looked pretty good?
I think though, from a mental health perspective, Sibic was like, "Really, you're chucking me on here when the tie's done."
Yeah, it's a horrible.
Come on,
ordeal.
But yeah, absolutely fair play to him for last night as we're recording this. Obviously, it takes a lot of mental strength to get booed onto the park. I know I'm not going to pretend it was most of the stadium. I know it was a minority. But still, it was a minority that was heard by him.
There was still a fair enough amount.
Yeah, 100%.
And look, you are entitled to do what you want. You pay your money, but that whole booing your own players malarkey is counterproductive. So it's a massive. Yeah, you're did that from me.
You're entitled to do it, but people are likewise entitled to call you an idiot for doing it.
Of course.
Yeah. So fair play, Toby.
Point. Yeah, well done, Toby. One final point before we move on to briefly previewing Livy away and of course the quiz. I'm conscious of time. I realise it's going to be a long episode, but
that's fine though.
We've had double digits, so come on, guys, get yourselves involved. I couldn't help but have a little look at the Scottish League Cup on the whole. This competition does my tits in. Partick Thistle, Dundee United, Wraith Rovers, Livingston, Hibernian, Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Aberdeen, Ross County and St Johnstone have all won the League Cup more recently than we have. My dad was born in 1965. He has never seen it. When are we going to get this monkey off of our back?
We'll never do it. We just need to accept it as a football club and a fan base. We're never winning this trophy again. We can win.
Abolish the League Cup. Yes. I ain't interested.
Yes. We're going to win the league sooner than we're going to win the League Cup.
We're going to win in Perth more sooner than we're going to win
exactly. Yeah,
and beat Killy at Tiny.
Exactly. Yeah, we just never. I've just fully accepted it now. Much like I've accepted when I was younger, gravity. I've accepted that we're never winning the League Cup.
Honestly, hate that competition with all my being. And
speaking about things you hate.
Yeah, aside that I'm also not keen on with all my being. Livingston, we travel to West Lothian this weekend to take on Livingston at the Tony Macaroni Arena. Both obviously looking to get over their Premier Sports Cup exits, what with Livy crashing out to United, as we briefly alluded to. Livy are also not in the best run of form. They've lost back-to-back league games without scoring. Those being to Aberdeen and Motherwell. Went down to 10 men in both. So, despite their ill discipline, this could prove a tricky fixture for us, particularly with the plethora of players that we've got on the treatment table.
The game plan is just get them sent off, basically, and then we'll win comfortably. Yeah, I don't even know what team we can play because
it's as well asking what is your team, but none of us know at this point.
Because it's like Kingsley's.
You see me trying to do it for who scored. Oh, Jesus,
yeah. I'm
literally looking through the squad list, like no, unavailable.
Do not envy at all. There is the element of Kingsley's apparently back, but do we risk him on the plastic pitch? Halkett's apparently back, but do we risk him on the plastic pitch? Grant, risk him. Keogh, if he's ready, do we chuck him in at Livy at first game if he's ready? I haven't even accounted
for him in the previews.
I would play Gordon, Cochrane, Nielsen. I don't.
Big Tobes.
Sure, Sibic, centre in a two. Sibic, Smith if he's fit, but I don't think he is. Oh no, his back. Can he handle that pitch?
And Yaka's out. Maybe it's
I'm changing
Civic at right wing back.
Right, I'm changing the whole I'm changing the whole thing.
It's a mess. I don't like three at the back, and I really
Neither do
don't
I.
like.
Neither do I, but
we're
we're
going
going
to
to
second string personnel. This is not nice.
Gordon. Cochrane. No. Cochrane left of a 3. Nielsen.
Halliday left wing back.
Halliday left wing back. Forrest right wing back. Sibic in the middle of a 3. Nielsen on the right hand side. Haring and Devlin. No. Keogh and Devlin. I'm just going Keogh fit. No, I have to. I feel like we have to rest Mackay because he looked knackered. Gino, Connor Smith, and Shankland.
Crikey.
However, hopefully, because it's now 42 minutes past 5, hopefully we make signings and they can all start, and it's fine. Hopefully, the team I just said does not start on Saturday, because if it does, we're not getting a result.
Oh dear. Again, I'm just looking at my phone and I'm left so uninspired. Nothing's happening.
6 hours. 6 hours.
Hope some calls are made.
Yeah.
Right. Before we go, let's move on to the quiz.
Yes.
Finally, we've wasted enough time talking about the long week. Again, folks, it's my. I apologise. It's fine.
It's fine, though.
3 games to talk about, a quiz, a new signing, 90-minute episode, potentially something big around the corner for the centenary episode. Who knows? We'll keep that tight-lipped. But check Twitter. Quiz time.
Right.
Let's go. Right. You know the script. 5 questions. Like I say, true or false in there, multiple choice in there. Who am I in there? First question, Daniel McIver, is Celtic scored 2 hat-tricks in their 9-0 mauling of Dundee United at Tannadice. But who scored the last hat-trick for Hearts in a Scottish Premiership match?
This isn't right, but I can't think of anybody else who it would be. So I'm going to go Stephen Naismith.
Is correct. In a 4-1
Was it against St Mirren?
Over St Mirren, it was. And I asked this because I had a look at Hearts stats. Make sure you follow them on Twitter, by the way.
Yes,
fantastic
very good
account. They tweeted out after the St Johnstone game saying that we had 27 shots at goal against St Johnstone, the most we've had in a league game in almost 4 years. And it was that very day of the Naze hat-trick, other goals scored by Ollie Lee, where we had 30. So
one of them was a header. I remember that because it was used as the indent for the Ladbrokes Premiership for ages after it.
A pen, a header, and the others when Pete plays them through and it hits off the post.
Yes.
Lovely finish.
Yes, it is. And 1 for 1.
What a time to be alive. Good start.
Yes.
Okay. Hearts drew Istanbul Başakşehir in their Europa Conference League group. But true or false, Heart and Midlothian have never played Turkish opposition in a UEFA club competition.
False.
It's true. We have never played a
I thought we would have played like Besiktas or something.
Yeah. Glad I got him there. Get in there. Right. Third question. That's good. Hearts drew Fiorentina in their Europa Conference League group. But which 2 Italian clubs have Hearts previously played in continental competition? Was it A, Bologna and AC Milan? Was it B, Bologna and Inter Milan? Was it C, AC Milan and Inter Milan? Or was it D, Bologna and Parma?
Well, you've knackered me here because my brain was like, we've never played Bologna. And now Bologna are 3 of them. I feel like we've played Inter. But maybe I'm just saying that because of the kit. Have we played Bologna? I have no recollection of ever hearing about us playing AC. So I'm going to go Bologna and Inter.
Is the correct answer. Very well done, sir.
Come on.
I've just realised for one of the questions I need to go back on Wikipedia.
Shocking. This is embarrassing. You wouldn't get this with me. I'd be ready.
I have got the question here.
Right.
And it is Hearts legend Ryan McGowan lined up against the Jambos for St Johnstone last Sunday, having now played for the Tayside trio. However, I would like you, Daniel McIver, to name 3 of Ryan McGowan's ex-clubs that aren't in Scotland.
I genuinely don't know if I could get one. Bradford
is one.
Right.
So it's a good start.
Yeah. I don't know how to say a lot of them. Q8.
I'll give you 2.
Give me it, come on.
I'll give you 2.
It's not Al Jazeera. He didn't play for them. It's Al someday, I think, though.
He did play for an Al someday.
I only know Al Jazeera. It's not them. Try and get other.
He's only played for one Aussie club, I think.
Who was the Chinese club that was selling me?
Oh,
I couldn't guess it. Like I don't even have words in my head. I'm gonna go Al Jazeera. I don't think it is, but I'll go Al Jazeera.
No, it's Al Sharjah. Is who he played for. Never heard of them. Yeah. The Chinese club in question, we sold him to Shandong Luneng. He then moved to Dundee United. He then went back to China for Henan Jianye, Guizhou Jicheng, Al Sharjah, Bradford, Sydney FC. You could have got Q8 and St Johnstone. Obviously, spending time alone at Dundee as well.
I should have got that Jicheng because that's where Shinji Kagawa came through. I should have got that.
And finally,
Jesus,
here we go. Yes, the best bit.
Right.
But who am I? Okay. So, in fact, again, because I know that you might ask questions, I'm going to go on to this man's Wikipedia. I'll fire that up. But I will start by saying, I joined Hearts after the Jambos scouted me as a teenage talent playing in my homeland. I made my international debut at 19 and was considered part of my nation's golden generation. I captained the Men in Maroon on a few occasions before moving to the English Premier League, where I made just 7 appearances for the side I signed for in an 18-month stay. Spells in Portugal, Denmark and England once again, with Fleetwood Town followed, with my only honour being a Danish Cup. Who am I?
I have no idea. I don't have a time frame. I don't have a name. The golden generation thing has completely thrown me.
This is according to Wikipedia, so it could be total nonsense.
We've not and the captain thing.
Only on a couple of occasions.
I know, but
do you want me to tell you how many times he played for Hearts?
Yeah.
According to Wikipedia, he played for Hearts 134 times.
And Wikipedia is always way less, so it's way more than that.
Scoring 8 goals.
See, this is why you should use Transfermarkt. That's better.
Well, in fairness, in the paragraph where it talks about this man at Hearts, it says 153 appearances in all comps, 9 goals.
Right. Okay. 9 goals. So he clearly was not a forward. However, considering some of our forwards, that could be.
That's quite prolific.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to guess he's a midfielder. We've not had many Belgians because I'm thinking of the golden generation thing. And that's the most recent golden generation I can think of. Poland's had a decent team in the last 15 years, but we've not had many Polish people that would then go on to captain us.
It's quite an obscure nation.
Right. So a golden generation just means they've got 5 good folk or something. And he captained us. And then we sold him to Premier League team. Right, well, it's no him then.
Who did you have in your head?
I had Gomes in my head, but it's no him. So we definitely didn't sell him to Premier League. It's clearly when we were wee. We were clearly wee.
Some of the players that he played with or played alongside in this golden generation.
Decent. Oh, what nation is it then? Name the clubs he's played for.
I can't even pronounce half of them.
Right, great.
Right, let's see. So he obviously was from the homeland. That'll give it away if I say that. But then he signed for Hearts.
No, wait, I gave you all the French teams for Jean-Louis Valois,
right,
and everybody got it for that.
Okay, well then in that case, Fiaro Abigio.
Oh, I've got it immediately. You're right, he gave it away.
Hearts, Wolves, Charlton, Belenenses, FC Vetchieland, Fleetwood, Sonderskje, and Fimle Kafelag Hafnafjaroa.
Jesus, all right. We sold him to Wolves.
Yeah.
The only
Big
player
clue.
I know that we sold to Wolves is Berra, and it's no Christoph Berra because Berra didn't play for Fleetwood.
But he certainly has they won a Danish Cup, I don't think.
Exactly. There's only one name I can think of, and it doesn't make sense because he was more prolific than that, and he was a forward. The only name, this isn't my guess, the only name that's in my head is Eggy Jonsson, but he was way more, he scored more than 9, and I don't think Eggy Jonsson ever captained us. Right, I'm going to, we've been on here for 9 hours. I need to think of a name soon. You said that was give it away. What was the name of the first club? Because I didn't even I can't even think of a nation that would be with.
Fiaro Abigio.
I can't, like, for me, that doesn't even give it away. I can't think of where that would be.
Made his debut as a 15-year-old for Fiaro Abigio.
And we sold the Wolves thing has thrown me completely. I only know that we sold Berra. I don't know why, but Chesney's come into my head. It definitely wasn't Chesney. Fleetwood! What do you mean he's played for Fleetwood and he's on Wolves? It's like
Fleetwood Town from 2015 to 2017.
Nah, no idea. Absolutely no clue. So I'm just going to say Eggy Jonsson, even though I know it's wrong.
Fucker, how the hell have you done that?
Well, it's not Eggy Jonsson. So who is
It is Eggy Jonsson.
Is it actually Eggy Jonsson? We sold Eggy Jonsson to Wolves.
Do you not remember that?
No. Eggy Jonsson only
hell
scored
did you
9
guess
goals.
that? Yeah, apparently so.
No way. I don't believe that.
He's still playing at 34. For that, well, oh no, I say that. His last club was that Fimle Kafelag Hafnafjaroar.
He was part of an Icelandic golden generation.
Let me read the paragraph. He made his international debut at the age of 19 and is considered to be a part of Iceland's golden generation, along with the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson and Solbein Sigforsson.
Wow.
There you go.
He did only score 9. He played 148 games for us. Played 9.
And then you got to think about it. I mean, he played everywhere.
True, he did. You should have said he went viral last year on Twitter because of how attractive he looked in his club's photo.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, because it's his Twitter photo for Fleetwood. It's his Fleetwood photo. I didn't realise that.
Oh, there you go.
So I am now. I've got 2.
You're
it's
the jammiest
2-0.
bastard when it comes to these Who Am I. So I'm going to need, like, why did I throw that out there? I should have kept
2-0. 2-0 to me.
I've had a shocker. I just know that something's going to be glaringly obvious next week, and I'm still going to find a way to
I know who I'm picking next week, so it's going to be interesting.
Great. For the 100th episode, and that'll be humiliating.
Well, we'll get to that next week, but thank you for listening to this bumper episode 99. There's been a lot to talk about, and hopefully next week for our 100th episode, we'll have several new signings to speak about.
No.
It doesn't look like it so far. There's 6 hours left, but we'll get to that next week. If you have enjoyed this, please do share it about. If you've enjoyed it on a podcast platform, please leave us a review on that podcast platform. It massively helps. If you've been watching us on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That also really, really helps. You can get us on all the socials at Perth to Paisley. We're also perthtopaisley@gmail.com if you want to fire us over an email. Adam, where can they get you on all the socials?
They can get me on all the socials at Adam T. Kendo. And of course, you're gonna wanna keep an eye on Perth to Paisley's socials, bit of a tongue twister there, to find out who is involved in our centenary episode. Or who we're hoping to get involved in our centenary episode.
But yes. We'll hopefully be joined by a special guest next week to discuss sign-ins, Livy, preview the big first European game as well. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Come on, the Hearts!